Good morning. I am leaving the big state, Texas. I realized that I didn't talk after my run in Texas and kind of share my heart of what's going on. So when I pulled into town in Amarillo, it's a small little neighborhood, kind of very small home, kind of quaint area. And there's like 5 or 6 kids in front of the house. I say kids, 20-year-olds, and then like a 14-year-old, a 9, and a 6-year-old, and they're all just kind of hanging out. And I show up, and these kids greet me, and they're like, "Hey, Adam, not home, and we were just wanted to receive you." And so they helped me park the trailer in the driveway, which is a single-car driveway. This 14-year-old girl takes me in to show me where my bedroom is and shows me the house. And so I just figured, you know what, I'm just gonna hang out with these kids. And they're all outside just talking. And it's like this community. And I didn't know how else it was refreshing, because these kids are interacting. The 14-year-old looks like she's 14, but she talks like she's 20. Which is different. Normally in California, and I hate to even say it this way, but it's like the girls look like they're 20, but they act like they're 14. And so this was the opposite. She looks like she's 14, but she acts and she talks like she's 20. She was homeschooled, and as I talk more about where they are, I start to hear all the drama, and it's not even like, it's like they kind of even said it, we just know each other's business because it's so small. Well, they know each other's business because they all have needs. And so, they're helping out the Airbnb host because he's at work. The 14-year-old cleans the house when I leave, so he pays her to take care of the house. His friends, it's just like, they're, the neighbor across the street is watching the 14-year-old. The grandmother is watching the 14-year-old because the mom is out of town. It's like, as I'm listening to all this, it's like these 4 or 5 families are mixed together with a common purpose. And the common purpose is we all need each other, and we're all going to help each other. And they do it because I don't know if they really have any other option. And so I was just blown away as I'm talking to these people, and again, it's not in this. It just didn't seem like in this. Oh, we're gonna gossip. It was like, oh, we're gonna help. And as I talked to my host, it's like, he said, it's up to our community to take care of us, and if we don't do it, then the government tries, and they don't do a very good job. The church tries. And I think the church wants members, and and again, it was like, I really believe that God was like, you don't need to go find a church today. I almost thought like maybe God was saying, this isn't even a place you need to do church, because this is church right here in this neighborhood. So after spending 3 hours with them, I spend the last hour with them, telling them about what I'm doing, more specifically, telling them about my journey, talking about how crazy what I'm doing, and I start loving them, and I start praying with them. And the 14-year-old girl goes, "Will you pray for my grandma?" She tells me that within an hour. I tell her I'm going to Oklahoma City, and she tells me, "Oh yeah, Oklahoma really needs a lot of healing." And I didn't know about this tornado, I guess, about 5 years ago. An F5 tornado went through Oklahoma, and it went like 18 miles and just, obliterated the city. And, the Oklahoma City bombing, there's all kinds of things. And so I was just fascinated by, I think, the spiritual awareness of this 14-year-old. In the middle of this neighborhood. And then I find out that her mom's an alcoholic, her dad is nowhere to be found, and the grandmother is telling these people, I'm watching your other 2 cousins because God's keeping me alive. She's dying of I don't know, some disease, but when I was there, the ambulance came twice to medically take care of her. I don't know what's going on. But I was just impressed by that. So then I meet a pastor that I literally just drive by and I meet, and really nice guy, told my testimony. And I was just kind of like, okay, God, maybe I'm not supposed to talk anywhere else. And the other church, I thought, I had 2 people tell me about the same person. That didn't go anywhere. I thought I was going to talk at CR, and that didn't go anywhere. So I go on my run, and on my run, I pass by Grace Church. Ironically, it was a church that I emailed. It was a church that I sent out. It was a church that I remember they had an aerial drone shot of the church, and I'm like, that's a big church. When I ran by it, I mean, I just immediately felt like, you know, I had this sense that, you know, oh yeah, that was a church that I tried to contact. So after I was done with my run, I took a shower, had lunch, went by, knocked on the door, and I met the youth pastor. And the youth pastor welcomed me, listened to my testimony, and next thing I know, he's like, well, I'm going to check out your YouTube, and, you know, can you give me some references of where you've already spoken? And I thought, yeah. And so I ended up booking another night and canceling my trip to Oklahoma City. And I just waited on the Lord, and I said, okay, God, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk tonight, but I'm going to just see what happens. He calls me back the next day. He says, can you still talk tonight? And I just asked, I go, hey man, can I come over and borrow your Wi-Fi and play to their grand piano, baby grand piano? We set up the video. He took me to lunch. I had Whataburger, which a great hamburger place. It's kind of like the California version of In-N-Out Burger is Texas and their Whataburger. I felt comfortable. I'm playing ping pong with the kids. I'm playing this new game called which was called Dork, and it's like you take an old pool table and it's like horse on basketball, but you use the pool table, a black ball and the white ball, and you kind of play around. Anyhow, it was fun. Look it up. I'm sure somewhere has it, but it's called Dork, and you put a piece of tape in a little hole, and it was a blast. I should have videotaped a little bit of the game. I don't know why I didn't do it. So, and again, I don't know why I'm not, taking selfies with the churches that receive me. It was a great youth group. It's the 6th time I talked. It was the largest crowd of probably 50 people, and 6th grade to 12th graders, and along with even more. I met a cello player from Sacramento. These are Airbnb friends now, or people that stay in the same place as I do. A guy from England that I shared my testimony, or barely with, but I was trying to share Jesus with him because he doesn't believe. And then yesterday I'm on an Airbnb, and the guy is married, just married again from Modesto, California. Moved over here 5 years ago, married 3 years, and I just thought I needed to tell him about my experiences with what I'm learning about marriage and relationships, and he totally listened for an hour straight. We talked, and just can't believe the doors that God's opening, and I know he wants me to talk to all these people. And as I talk to this video channel, it's like I know in some crazy way that God can use it. And people encouraging me in YouTube is what helped me get through this season. So I want to be that same encouragement to people and say, hey, this is my journey, and hopefully you'll follow and see the steps that God used to help me get to a better place. Because that ultimately is what he wants. He wants not only, this is what this guy, I've always heard, hurt people hurt people. Well, I never heard the other half of it, which is free people help free people. And I thought that was really, really good, man. All right, man. Love you guys. Stay in your word. Just put in good things in your heart. Concentrate on the good. Focus on the good. And even though there's always going to be memories of stuff that you went through or stuff that's happening, just, concentrate on the good and remember who. One of the sermons was, don't worry so much about the why of why God is this happening, but the what and the who in it. That's Jesus. And when Job, I had two people talk about Job, when Job went through everything that he went through, even my mom, so that's three people, God spoke to him and said, where were you? Where were you when I made the earth? And, and he basically just puts Job back in his place, like, I'm God, you're not, and you need to deal with it, and in a loving way, of course, because I don't know, but anyhow, I'm off to Oklahoma City